Diversifying during lockdown. I like it. Sounds dramatic. Hello, welcome to Scared Up Stories. It's our regular Digital Beans podcast where we talk to business owners across the Southeast about how they have scaled their business. And this is a special collaboration because over the next couple of weeks, maybe 5 to 6 weeks leading up to the awards ceremony, we're going to be joining forces with Taste of Kent Awards, produced by Digital Beans with the help of Produced in Kent, to bring you these special podcasts. And the journey that we're going to go on is quite simple. Over the next couple of weeks, we're going to learn a little bit more about what the Taste of Kent Awards mean to the local Kent food and drink community. Plus, we'll be speaking to the finalists themselves, finding out more about their passions and why Kent is such a special place for them. We're going to bring the finalists to you ahead of this year's awards ceremony. And on the show today, we have Ed Gray, the director of Watts Farm. Watts Farm are the finalists in the Kent food retailer category. And after making an incredible transformation over the past 12 months, they've managed to build and sustain a brand new online farm shop, which has brought a whole new dimension to their business. Watts Farm, of course, have been going for quite a long time. It's a family-run business that farms over 600 hectares of land across 10 farms in Kent and Essex. They grow around 100 different crops each year, and they serve major supermarkets, retailers, wholesalers, high-end hotels and restaurants, airlines, schools, and the general public as well. We're going to find out a little bit more about Watts Farm a little bit later on. But first, I want to bring you Sebastian, who I caught up with earlier on this week. He's the owner and chef at Brisket and Barrel, who are finalists in the Kent Ambient Product of the Year for their new product, their delicious, as I would call it, ketchup smoke. Sebastian is going to tell us how to properly say it in just a moment's time. They're based in Sevenoaks. Brisket and Barrel is a French smokehouse with a restaurant, deli, and online shop. I started my chat with Sebastian by asking him a question. You know, he comes from France. He decided to move to Kent. So I wanted to ask him why. Why did you decide, Sebastian, to move to the heart of Kent?
I moved to Sevenoaks with my wife 13, 14 years ago, I think. We lived in, I moved to England 26 years ago to Oxford, and I met my wife. We moved to London, and then Sevenoaks looked like the perfect place to build our nest when we had the kids and everything. So that's what we've done. And with Alex, my cousin, we wanted to find, because we love cooking, we love what we're doing, but working in a restaurant, it's tough. It's not, it's fun a little bit of the time, and the rest of the time it's really a bit crazy. So we thought there is a better way of doing it, which is not doing the smoked meat, but the more of the party side of the restaurant. We wanted a restaurant where you can have a good time, where it's the music is too loud, the staff is not too put together, but more, they wanted, a fun place, a place where you could go and have fun, and which is what we've done. But of course, it's things we've been evolving a lot in the last 4 years, and then the last year, of course, just makes everything in perspective. So Alex decided, so it was a good idea to turn half of the restaurant into a deli, so we could carry on doing something and have instead of closing the restaurant completely. And that was actually a very, very good idea. And so after the first lockdown, when we reopened, between, September and Christmas, so we had the shop and the restaurant. So in the evening we had tables in the shop, and it was really, really cool. It's the whole atmosphere of Brisket and Barrel changed completely. It was still, I think it made it even a crazier place. You came in and you were sitting next to the cheese, and then the wine and the saucisson, and then it was really, really cool. And the sauce, of course, yes.
And the sauce.
And the ketchup.
Yeah, before we talk about that and how you've twisted and a bit about your products within the deli, could you just tell me quickly, you mentioned about, obviously, you decided very quickly that Sevenoaks was a place that you wanted to be, the place that you wanted to live. What made you fall in love with, just briefly, what made you fall in love with Sevenoaks?
Oh, but just because that's where I live. That's where I've got my friend. That's where I ride my mountain bike. That's where I do, that's where I am. So I didn't want to go to London, and because of course London at the time, not anymore, but it's the place to do if you want to be successful. And this is not what we wanted. We wanted to have a place where it's a local. I do what we're doing was for my neighbors, for my wife. I suppose it's a bit of a personal thing. It's when I go out in Sevenoak, there is a few places that I love, but not that many. The rest is just. I don't know if I can say name, but it's big company, big restaurant that you go there, you have some noodles or some pizza, and it's like, and then what? There is nothing, there is no depth, there is nothing in it. So we wanted to do something in Sevenoak because it's kind of the right thing to do. You've got the two way in life, the right way and the easy way, and doing it in Sevenoak was the right way. And also the smoking is such a long, and you have to go to bed late, you have to come early, you have to if we were in London, it would have been crazy, going the train and it just wouldn't work. So it kind of I wanted to do it here so we could have some restaurant beers, and my friend could come after a bike ride and have some brisket and a beer. That was the plan. A place to hang around with my friends.
It's interesting that you mentioned there about you being a biker, because there are some lovely little walking routes and some lovely little routes that you can bike on, and the surrounding areas as well as Sevenoaks are quite lovely too. So I expect the areas of natural beauty that we have here in Kent also played a big part in your decision making as well. But as you said, in terms of an independent local trade going in somewhere in Sevenoaks when you're surrounded by quite some big companies, that must have been a big step for you. And you mentioned there about you wanted to create a place where your friends could come afterwards. You could have a laugh. You could enjoy owning a business whilst also hanging out with your friends and enjoying some delicious food. How did Brisket and Barrels start then? What was the idea from the beginning? Tell us a bit about your business for anyone who doesn't know.
We wanted to open a place at the train station. On the other side of where we are here, and they were redoing an old pub. They had a beautiful pub that they broke down, and they're building some flats again, a bit more flat in Sevenoak. And we wanted to be in there because we wanted to have a rotisserie. So having roast chicken. In France, there is a shop like that. It's called Traiteur. So it's a place where you go and then you buy a roast chicken, you buy some sauté potato, you buy lots of salad, you buy some ham, some wine. A place where you finish work on your way home, you stop there, you get a cheese baguette, and then you've got everything you need for a good dinner. And they didn't want us to open anything there because there was cooking involved, and they didn't want that. So then we had to sort of somewhere else. And we also had to compete with roast chicken from a big supermarket that they sell for £4. If we were making a roast chicken that we buy from a local guy, then there's no way you can sell a roast chicken for £4.50. So how could we compete to supermarket chicken for £4 or £5, and then our chicken that we will have to sell for £10 or £12. So we thought, okay, we need to change the idea. And Alex been traveling a lot, and then he loved the American smoking technique. So we've been looking into that, and I suppose because we are French, we just couldn't help to just slowly making the American smoking technique a bit more, less cheese and less heavy butters and fat and stuff, making it a bit more, I don't want to say sophisticated, but a bit more elegant, with a bit more finesse, and mixing it with celeriac remoulade, and then starting to do smoked duck leg confit, and then things like that. Yeah.
What makes
it? And it just happened.
What makes French chefs so good, Sebastian? Because Gordon Ramsay, every time I watch a program on him, he talks about his French roots when he went over to France, and that's where he learned all about his culinary trade. And he literally says, without going to France, he doesn't think he'd be as good a cook as he is now. What makes French cuisine so must have, and
because it's very important. Everything you wake up in France is what's going to be dinner, what's or lunch, and then
it's like that in my house as well.
It's like you go to work, when lunch is done, you go back to work, and you say, "Oh, what did you have for lunch?" And then you talk about it, and then dinner, what are you going to do for it? It's just because it's a very important. Everybody is eating, everybody wants to eat. It's just such a big thing, eating is so important, and Yeah, I think that's it. And then because again, you eat stuff and then you try it, and then after you try somebody else's food, and you're thinking, just put a bit of salt in it, a bit of pepper, or just nothing, not much. That just bring everything up.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I moved to Sevenoak a long time ago, 13 years ago, I had a coffee in one of these big restaurants. And then the coffee was awful, was terrible. So I went back to the guy who was making, they had a beautiful coffee machine and everything. So I told the guy, I said, well, can you make me another coffee? This one is horrible. And he said to me, oh, I don't know. I don't drink coffee. So already, if you're the guy who's making coffee, but you don't drink it, then how can you make it better? So I think that's also a problem. I mean, not a problem, because there is some very, 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 very good English chefs. I don't want you to think, and there is some very shit French chef as well. But I think food is such an important thing. It's probably the same as, if I wanted to make beer if I go back home, if I'm in France, I want to make beer, then it's probably a very good idea if I come in England and learn how to do beer, because the beer you make in England is the best. So, you're making awesome beer and we're making good food.
Well, when you bring them both together, it's the perfect collaboration.
It's a perfect exactly.
On that quickly, I just want to hit on from everything you've just said. Then, for me, Brisket and Barrel feels more than just a restaurant, more than just a deli. To me, it feels like a bit of a passion project for you as well. Would that be true? Yeah. Are you really passionate, as you showed there, about your food and serving not just the people of Sevenoaks, but the people of Kent, just a totally different culinary experience compared to other restaurants out there?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like there's not enough petrol to go back. You start something, and then we are somewhere now where, well, I can't help it. You just carry on. That's what you're doing. There is no other way of doing it like that, and it's true. In the morning you come, it's nice. You have a coffee, a chit chat with everybody, and then it's good fun. And I mean, when the restaurant was open, because it's been a while now, so we kind of forgot. I go home at 5 o'clock in the evening. So, but the people who come they get it. They come, they sit down, they understand the wine, they understand what we're doing, and they know it feels like when they come, it's a bit of they chill out and they have a good time. So it helps to keep being passionate about it.
And obviously you've had to, like the rest of us, you've had to change up. You've had to do something different during COVID. You've opened up your deli, which means you now also sell products too. You've got an e-commerce store on your website. And one of those products has been nominated for a Taste of Kent award, which is fantastic work. Of course, within all the hard graft that you've put in over the last 12 months to keep the business afloat, to be able to see and get some recognition now, it must be a great thing. We get to that in a second, but it's your ketchup smoke that has been nominated for Kent Ambient Product of the Year. How does that feel for you to be nominated for a Taste of Kent award?
Oh, it's nice. Of course it's nice, ketchup smoky. We keep the French with the accent on the E at the end. Ketchup smoky.
If I'd done that, Sebastian, I'd just sound like a British bloke trying to speak French. So I'll keep it at the tongue.
Smoky.
Smoky.
It's very good. Of course, every reward or recognition is nice when you do the same thing again every day, and then nobody's, even if you don't really need it, but everybody's, if somebody's coming and say, "Oh, well done, that's good," makes you happy, makes you feel good. Yeah, of course.
How have your rubs and your sauces and so to speak the e-commerce side of the business, your products, how have they gone down with your consumers, and have they given you another avenue for your business now? We've mentioned the delis there, but could e-commerce potentially be something that you jump on in the future, seeing how that's soared for other local Kent businesses within the food and drink industry?
I don't know really. To be honest, we're not. How can I say it? It's without sounding stupid. I'm not thinking too much in the future.
Yeah. Okay.
So we've been doing the ketchup like that because the ketchup we had in the restaurant, and we were only, it was on the table, and then people said, "Oh, can I buy some? It's really nice." And then so we started having a chat with Amadel and all the guys, and then that's where we are now, and we decided to. But in the same time, we also understand that there is so many sauces on the market. They are everywhere, and price wise, it's really tough to compete with the big boys, and we don't want to compete. We are doing our things in 7 Oak. So for it to be so, I mean, we're selling it on internet. We're selling it a little bit. It's not, it's not crazy, but it's there. Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's we'll see where things take us. Maybe in 6 months we'll have to buy a bigger pot to cook the ketchup.
well, tell us about it. Tell us about your finalist product, the Kent Ambient product of the year, your ketchup smokey, as you say it's pronounced.
Yeah.
Tell us about it. Where did the idea for it start? What's the process? It's a brewing process if it's alcohol, isn't it? But for that product, how is it made, and what's the purpose of it for a consumer?
When we started, it was only because we had the smoker on, and we've got one smoker where we smoke everything, and then the kitchen is a tiny little kitchen, so we haven't got the facility of cooking a lot. So we use the smoker because it was convenient, and so we were making a burger at the time that we called the St. John's, because we're in St. John's here, which is a croissant bun. So it was a croissant dough, but in a shape of a bun. And then we had cheese, cheddar, salad, tomato, just normal stuff, and the brisket, obviously. And we wanted a sauce that complement the smoky. Ketchup was all right, but it wasn't just right. So Alex thought about putting stuff in the smoker, the tomato in the smoker, and then we smoked the tomato, and then we made the ketchup from the tomato, and it was really, really good. So we thought, well, let's try to make more, the barbecue sauce. And then, of course, the barbecue sauce, when you start looking in all these sauces, the barbecue and the ketchup, it's only a ketchup with something else that make a barbecue sauce. And then when you've got the barbecue, then it's a chain. You start something and then you carry on. Then after, of course, we had to look into, because when we were doing just for the restaurant, it's a fresh product, so you only had a few. The shelf life was a week or something like that. But then because we want to sell it and being a bit more professional, or then you start looking at how the big boys, why is there so much salt in it? That was actually very interesting. Why there is so much salt, so much vinegar, so much. And then to me, it's such the other way, or the other side of being a chef. When you cook, it's just you do it now. It's you don't think too much. It's spontaneous. But when you do a sauce and you wanna keep it good, but with a how can I say that? With a shelf life, or something that you can conserve and put it, some people can have it in their house for months. Then it's a different ball game, because you have to look on how it's on the conservation things and the sugars, and then when you start looking into the big boys, and then they've got so much sugar in it, so much vinegar, so much stuff so they could keep it for. You can leave it in full sunshine for years, and then you can eat it after. Nothing's going to happen to you, because it's just full of weird stuff.
Not right, is it?
And then we say, okay, exactly. If we do a sauce, we want to make it as simple as possible. And it took a lot of work, and lots of times, and lots of money, because you have to send it to people, in the lab, and they to see how long you can keep stuff, and then. And eventually we're ready to. We've been ready to do it, and then
Obviously, it's a proud moment to set it, Sebastian, and get it on the shelf, so to speak. Once you've had to go through all that testing, all that process, spend that money, then to be nominated for an award for it, as you've mentioned, there must be really good. It must be a great feeling. But obviously, it's not just you there at Brisket and Barrel. Tell us a bit about your team. Tell us a little bit about the company.
Yeah, so there is Alex and Quentin. So it's with three of us, the three musketeers, and we had to bring when we were pretty deep into the ketchup stuff. We had to bring Amadel, which is the guy you saw before. Was there? Amadel is a food scientist, so he's the one who kind of weighed all the grams of sugar and a bit of vinegar and that just to make it exactly how we want it, and that took. How long did it took? Years, months, a year, I think, where we had chips, and then we also had to find the best way of eating it, because we were eating so many ketchup and so many barbecue sauce every day that we couldn't anymore. But the best is with chips. You make chips and then you dip it in the ketchup, and then it just comes alive. You have such a.
So Sebastian,
it was a very.
Can I just say on that? I think I speak on behalf of everyone watching as well, that if you need another food taster, I am available.
Okay.
And as will be our audience, I bet. So I'm just a phone call away. Also, I won't charge you for it. If you want to give me food, that's fine. I'll be a free food tester.
Okay. All right, so I'll bear it in mind.
I mean, I won't give you great feedback, I don't think, but still, I'll tell you that it's great and eat more. I mean, that's good enough, isn't it?
No, it's not good enough.
Sorry, where were you? Sorry about that.
The acidity, the bitter level, and all that. But because eating a lot, it's But that's good. It's good. I'll bear it. I'll bear it. I'll keep you in mind.
Thank you, mate. Yeah. Sorry, where were you? You were talking about your team. Sorry about that. I had to interrupt.
I forgot now.
You're telling us about,
that's where we were.
Yeah, that's what it is. You're telling us. You told us the faces behind the team. You're talking about obviously that process on testing the products and bits and pieces like that.
Yeah. So Alex is my cousin. Okay. So we work together for feels like all our life, and Quentin is the how can I put it, the back face is the guy at the back who's doing all the important work, all the paperwork, all the stuff that need to be looked after, and that we don't do because we are cooking or we are just messing up with food. But and it's been 4 years that Brisket is open. Hopefully, the plan at the beginning was to open another one and another one. But of course, after the COVID, now that's the one here we focused on. And that's where we are.
Well, look, Kent Ambient Product of the Year, the Taste of Kent Awards, obviously Brisket and Barrel Up with their ketchup smoke. You've got the chili chop with Carrington's and the chipotle and habanero chili jam, which is jam-faced jams. I mean, some fantastic products in there, Sebastian, in their own right. It's just such a fantastic category, this. But what would it mean to you and your team to obviously pick up that award? It'd be after the years graft and, the amount that goes into creating these products, it'd be good feeling, wouldn't it?
I mean, of course it would be good, but it's really it's funny that because it feels good that we've been nominated and we are where we are now, and then, but again, something that I think it's not politically correct or is not, but we're not doing it for any reward. We're just doing these things because it's what we believe in and we think it's right, and it's brilliant that I think people picked up on it and that you guys tasted it and then said, actually these guys are doing a good job. So that's the stuff that's what makes me feel good and makes everybody feel good. But we're not doing it for to achieve anything. So I don't know how if it sounds pretentious or if it sounds like, but it's great that it's been but then after if we won, I don't know. I'm sure the day if it happened and that we do, then I'm probably be very happy. But for the moment, I'm taking everything easy, and we'll see. But I don't know if you know what I mean when I say we're not doing it to.
No. I get what you mean. I understand what you mean exactly. Of course, for you, the fact that it's been recognised is up there. If you go that next step, then it's just obviously that extra bit of appreciation, which you'd obviously be grateful for. But you're happy with where it's at, and obviously you also recognise, and you said it earlier on, the Kent food and drink industry is setting such high standards. It's fantastic. There's some fantastic, businesses been nominated and products nominated. No, I completely understand where you're at. And also, Sebastian, let me just say, you've been a lovely guy, so I didn't expect any different answer from you. I didn't expect you to sit there and go, no, I really want to win. Forget those guys, they're crap. I want to win this. What you said there was absolutely spot on, I thought. So I completely get it, and I bet everyone will.
Cool. Thank you.
Sebastian, thank you for taking the time out today. Congratulations for being a finalist, and we'll see you at that ceremony. Well, if not, I might even stop by before, seeing as we can all get out a little bit further now.
Do I need to wear a tie?
What, for the virtual ceremony? I mean, I was thinking about it today, but I went with a hoodie. So who knows? Thank you, Sebastian. Cheers for that.
Okay, my pleasure. Thank you. See you later.
Sebastian there, the owner and chef at Brisket and Barrel. What a lovely guy. No fighting talk at the end there. He's happy to be a finalist. He's happy that his team's getting the recognition. And it was great chatting to him. We did that yesterday afternoon. And someone else who I also caught up with yesterday afternoon, Ed Gray, the director of What's Farm. We'll have him on in just a second. But just a reminder for you that Sebastian and his team at Brisket and Barrel are finalists in the Kent Ambient Product of the Year Award in the Taste of Kent Awards for their ketchup smokey. That's alongside chili Carringtons, chipotle and habanero chili jam from Jam Face Jams. It's a stacked category. Some fantastic nominees who unfortunately didn't even make it to finalists, and some fantastic finalists as well there as well. So good luck, Sebastian and the team. But right now, let's move on to our second guest, Ed Gray, the director of What's Farm, who are finalists in the Kent Food Retailer category in this year's Taste of Kent Awards. I actually caught up with Ed yesterday, and we had quite a nice long conversation. I started off that chat with Ed, talking to him a little bit about the history of What's Farm and how it started.
Business. It was set up by my grandfather in 1952, and my parents took over the business from there. And we've got different parts of business. We're essentially a farming business running on 10 farms across Kent, and we supply supermarkets, wholesale markets. We diversified about 15 years ago to supply restaurants, and obviously this year diversified further to create an online shop and supply the public. So really a family business that's growing with different sides to it.
So diversing and changing things up, it's normal for you guys, right? You said you've done it a few times in the past. So when COVID hit, naturally came up with an idea, there was a will, there was a way, and you've pushed more online. You've pushed more into e-commerce.
In fairness, it was more of a sink or swim scenario. So when this time we had to, and in hindsight, you could argue that we should have done it a long time ago, really, because it's been very successful since doing it, and that's been essentially fueled by COVID, but essentially you could argue that we could have set up an online division a while before this, really. But yeah, diversification is normal for us, but this one was a big one, and it's really changed a lot of the stuff that we do since then.
And how has that gone down? Not just with your consumers, but also the team as well. How's it changed you guys for the future?
I'll be honest, it's like like a roller coaster ride. There's been massive ups and big downs as well. So the first up was the fact it's popular, and we came online, and I think we did about 5,000 orders in the first week and a half. We never saw anything like that, and that was fantastic because we were very petrified that we were about to potentially, this part of business might go bankrupt, because ultimately we had no business and we had lots of stock. So that was great. So that was fantastic. And obviously that dwindled a little bit, and the volume went down since then, but still very, very big orders, big levels that we never dreamt of that would happen. So that's been great. Different works. Obviously, the whole team's had to adapt in terms of, we're used to logistics, and we find lots of restaurants, hotels, which is slightly different, and we've had to adapt in terms of, dealing with the public, making sure our customer services is second to none. Making sure our drivers, instead of doing big bulky deliveries, they're doing sort of 50 or 60 smaller deliveries. So there's been change all over, and during the whole COVID, I've been really proud of the team of how they've adapted and really mucked in different levels. We've had drivers doing picking, pickers doing, it's been all over the place, really. Everyone's sort of done different roles, and everyone's learned new skills as well. We've become very digital, which has been great, and myself included. We've all learned skills that we never knew how to do before. Lots of social media skills, digital artwork skills. Got a whole plethora of new skills.
And how inspiring is that? The fact that you're learning and you're moving. How does that feel, so to speak, a business owner? You had to take a leap of faith. You had to, it's a sink or swim scenario, as you said. Your team and yourself, you've had to adapt. You've had to learn different things. How does that make you feel now, where we're a year on? Looks like we might be going back to some sort of normality, and you've basically got another division of the business there.
Yeah, well, first off, we're knackered.
Of course, you need the bank holiday weekend that's coming up.
We haven't had a break there since starting. No, but really, as business owner, I'm proud of the guys for stepping up and learning new skills, because they didn't have to, and the guys have really all mucked in to do that. So it's been great. But I'm more excited, I guess, really, because we're now starting to apply some of those new skills and new, not just skills, also digital services, things we didn't have before. How you track your deliveries and get notifications, like some of the top courier companies do on your phone. We now have that tech. And we're really teched up on a lot of things that we're now applying to our main business, which, if I'm honest, if I look back, probably was a little bit outdated in terms of traditionally customers would call us, they'd place an order, we'd process the order, whereas we weren't doing some of the smarter, yes, we'd get newsletters and stuff, we weren't doing some of the smarter stuff. So yeah, I'm excited about what we've learned and applying it. And also now with Zoom and all the online forums and things, we're learning now it's not as difficult as it used to be. Before, you'd have to go to a seminar or away for a conference for a day. Now you can jump on a Zoom call for an hour and learn how to do something new without leaving your office. So yeah, it's been exciting.
It's also unbelievable what's on YouTube. Like literally, it's just a search away. Anything you want to learn is literally a search away on
That
YouTube.
is very true.
It's absolutely crazy. What about then your team? You've just mentioned your team quite a bit. I think it's natural to ask about them now. Who are the faces? Who are some of the people? And I know I'm putting you on the spot. You've got a bit of an operation. You know, you're probably going to end up forgetting someone somewhere. But tell us a bit about some of the faces behind Watts Farm.
I mean, it's hard to pinpoint sort of individual people because literally everyone from drivers to pickers to sort of management team have really stepped up. But obviously, you know, at the top we've got the senior management team, and that's led by Cole Leary, who's general manager, and they've been doing a lot of work of co-packing for box meal companies because we have quite a big site. So although the online business has been fantastic, we've had to diversify into other areas as well to try and sustain our overheads and minimize our losses. So he's really looked after a massive project last year, which has also helped out the bigger sort of box meal companies to make sure they can feed the nation. And then my customer services and sales team, which is led by Eleanor, she's really stepped up in terms of you know, pushing the online, doing new marketing, emails, social medias, Facebook adverts, social media, all this sort of stuff we had no idea about, and she's really enjoyed learning that stuff. Some of that's been quite technical and quite difficult, but it's had huge dividends. And in the procurement boys, I mean, they've really had a challenge. Everything they're buying is going up and down. So one minute, you know, Eat Out's Help came back, they need to get stock back, then it stops, then they're gearing up for Christmas, and hold on, Christmas is cancelled. So everything you bought, we need to find a home for that. And they've done really good to minimise losses. And also what they've had to buy and the suppliers they deal with has changed to buy more retail formats and get stuff in very quickly, especially when the shortages hit. You know, flour and eggs and everything in the first wave that was going short, they had to try and stay ahead of the curve and find it elsewhere or get it in, and that was really demanding back in the beginning.
I mean, we've spoken a bit about how the business has evolved and a lot there about your team and how they've had to diverse and you as a business as well. But what about the future then? Not just for you guys, but for the hospitality sector. Obviously, a lot of people that you do supply to, but in the main business is within, you know, hospitality. So in terms of those guys and the new normal, so to speak, how confident are you that, you know, that hopefully this is now the bright step forward, the vaccinations, where we're at now in the world, that potentially we could be moving forward to a brighter world where consumers are behaving differently, but there's going to be a massive demand, as you say, the guys who are fulfilling procurement, hopefully it'll just be up, you know, and we're seeing businesses within the food and drink industry in Kent continue to grow.
Yeah, I mean, there is going to be a massive boom in certain areas of hospitality, but you have to remember there's also massive areas of hospitality that are completely shut down still and will be. So, you know, we used to a lot into the airlines. The airlines used to take 3 or 4 lorries a day of produce into us. You're talking about maybe 8,000 punnet strawberries a day from Kent. I could deliver to the airline right now in the back of my car what they need, you know, and they are not going to recover anytime the next month, 2 months, 3 months. We're talking about a longer recovery for those guys. Same with all the hotels in London. We live to all the 5-star hotels in London. Again, they rely on tourists to come visit London. They're not really full of locals in the country, really, if I'm honest. They rely on tourism to fill those restaurants and fill those hotels. So again, that's not come back. So although there is going to be uplift in hospitality, especially local hospitality, you know, beer gardens, pubs, local restaurants, places, outdoor space, that will be really, really busy. There's also a massive area that actually is still going to be really, really quiet. And I think it will take a while to recover. And some areas have changed for good. So we did a lot of corporate hospitality. So in your offices, your Facebook offices, your Google offices, there'll be a canteen, have whatever you want. You know, they're not going to have as much footfall anymore than they had before. A lot of people, the feedback from a lot of offices we deal with is, although people will return to work, it'll be a slightly different model, a flexi model of 2-3 days. So the number of people eating in those canteens has changed. So so I think it swings and roundabouts. Likewise, though, I've got a lot of customers, restaurant customers, that are box schemes and meal boxes in Kent, and they've been phenomenal. And I think they'll continue, to be honest with you. Some of the London brands, you know, like we've got a fantastic brand in London, called Burger Lobster. They're not in Kent, but you can order their meal kits online to Kent. You know, so that's a great example of how a restaurant can expand their reach nationally.
Do you know what? It's such a small world. And I say this all the time. And I know Burger and Lobster are quite a big brand, to be fair. They've got restaurants and outlets all over the world. But it's so funny that out of all of your clients that you can mention is Burger and Lobster. I used to live in Dubai. And literally Burger and Lobster was my go-to place to eat. And I worked with them for a period of time as well, going and hosting some events for them and doing some bits and pieces. It's just crazy. Like straight away when you said Burger and Lobster, I was like, of anyone you could have said. Make me hungry at lunchtime. Why don't you, Ed?
Well, we've had it was really interesting. The first lockdown, everything sort of closed. All we had apart from the online was basically some hospitals, some care homes, and some prisons. Everything else was shut, and everyone was quite nervous. And actually, the first two customers we had that kind of gave it a go was Paul UK Coffee Shops, the patisserie and coffee chain, and Burger Lobster. And I'll be honest, they took really bold moves because they weren't sure what to do. They hadn't done deals with landlords. They were still paying full amount, but they wanted to have a crack at doing deliveries. And the first weekend Burger Lobster opened, they had queue. I think they had so much queue, and they had riots and everything going on outside. It was crazy. But they took some really brave steps, and those businesses now have diversified to doing other stuff. So like in Britain, I think in particular. British businesses, you diversify, you find you don't give up, basically.
And do you know what? I think we should celebrate that spirit and actually pat business owners on the back and management on the back who have been brave, who've made choices and basically, as you said, have entered a sink or swim scenario where they've gone, do you know what? I care about my business. I care about my members of staff. We need to do something. We can't just sit back and rely on furlough that the new good world will come. And I think those business owners and those people deserve a massive pat on the back. And this is why, talking to Floria, look at this spin. The Taste of Kent Awards, I think is really nice this year because we're celebrating a number of businesses that didn't stop. They obviously they kept on going. They diversified, and they're getting some appreciation for the work that they've put in over the past 12 months to be here today. So for you, Ed, and the business, how nice is it to have been nominated for this Taste of Kent Award?
Yeah, it's really nice to be honest. And it is, like you say, it's kind of like a pat on the back. When you're a business leader and business owner, you don't really get a pat on the back. You come from anywhere. You can give it to your staff, but you can't normally give it to you. So this is a real good recognition, and we haven't stopped. And what we've done really has. I mean, the volumes we've done and the I think we've done 60,000 orders. To the scale of diversification to get to that point, it wasn't just simple, and it has been a really big mountain moving effort for us. So we're really, really grateful to be nominated. And then it's a big award. It's a big category. It's the Retailer of the Year is a big one. So we're not having just diversified. I think the team have diversified in such a way. We've done it very cleverly and very carefully, and every way just giving the best possible service. We don't just want to sell stuff. We want it to be leading the way in the online stuff rather than just opening up a shop and not having good customer service. So customer service has been really the key throughout, and that's come from supplying some of the best restaurants in Kent and London. You can have the best quality produce at good pricing, but if customer service isn't there, you just feel about it. It's a service industry ultimately, really.
Of course. And as you mentioned there, in terms of the category, Kent Food Retailer of the Year, someone else who have diversified, Foodari, home delivery, you've got Queck's Barn there in Birchington, then of course Watts Farm as well, make up the 3 finalists for that category. We had Sebastian on yesterday from Brisket and Bowell, who are up for Kent Ambient Food Product of the Year. And I tried to push him to tell me how nice it would be to win the award, but he was just so humble and there was no fighting talk at all. Ed, I expect you're going to be the same. But would it be nice, you're finalists, you're getting that recognition, you got that pat on the back to actually win the award though? How would that make you feel?
Oh, yeah, don't get me wrong. The team want to win it. The other guys in our category, everyone's worked. Everyone in every single awards category has worked their backside off this year, and they all, in fairness, I think everyone appreciates an award of some sort because everyone has done a really good job in diversifying and getting stuff out there. But I think the bigger thing, especially in Kent, is that we're all working together more now. And Providence during the pandemic has really come. People have become cooks. People who didn't used to cook during whatever lockdown period and whatever time they've had have started to cook, and that's been great because people now care a lot more. And they did care a lot before, they care even more at where stuff comes from. And for us, being a grower in Kent and selling a lot of Kentish growing products, that really helps the provenance and it helps people care about. And it's fantastic because I think that's something we needed to get back to.
Of course, Watts Farm are passionate about Kent food and drink produce. You're passionate about the Kent food and drink industry. So just quickly for our viewers who potentially are coming in now and maybe starting to look around at Kent food and drink produce for the very first time, for you, why is Kent food and drink the best out there, and why is it such a passion play for you guys?
Well, I mean, traditionally it's the Garden of England, so we just grow such a range of products. So you have other regional areas in the UK that will be specialists in certain things, and they're great as well. But I think in Kent we have the variety of products coming in, and that's because we're further down south. We have slightly warmer climates, but we have such niche growers. In ourselves, we grow very niche lines. So we grow some common things, like asparagus and strawberries, but we'll grow loganberries and tayberries and golden gooseberries and red gooseberries and niche products. And I think you've got a lot of growers like that in Kent, and we don't grow everything. So we get stuff off of other local growers, obviously. Now is the perfect time as well. The awards are great because all the seasons are starting in Kent. And you can really eat so well in just the local area. We've got, at the moment, even started almost a month ago, we have from Thanet Earth in down near Broadstairs, we have some cherry vine tomatoes. They started almost a month ago, and they've been fantastic. And then we've got our asparagus season kicking off, and then you've got strawberries and raspberries kicking off any minute now. So I just think, what more do you need, really? Especially in the time of Brexit and tariffs, you've got a lot. And the Kent cheese as well. We never used to sell Kent cheese during the pandemic. We also reached out to Kent cheese suppliers because they were struggling selling volumes into restaurants. And now we sell like 5 or 6 fantastic Kent cheeses that we sell bucket loads of it, and it's great.
I said this the other day to Florgia when we done a quick podcast. They've got a category for Kent Dairy Product of the Year at the Taste of Kent Awards. And I don't know about you, Ed, but I am not a lover of blue cheese at all. I'm not really keen. However, Kingcott Dairy do this Kentish blue cheese, which is unreal. It's unbelievable. And I think it's down to quality. It's down to how it's made. And I think that if you just go and buy a random cheese platter off the shelf, you're just going to get something that's been quickly whipped up and not a lot of care and attention has gone into it. But when you buy local products and produce like this, it does taste different. It does have a different meaning as you eat it as well. And it's an experience as you eat it too, because you know that the way that that's been manufactured and created is completely different to anything else out there. And I think that's what's really nice about knowing about some of these products, having tried them, having seen them and having seen the businesses grow as well. That love and care here in Kent that goes into companies' food and drink, right?
100%. I mean, that cheese mentioned, and they do another one, Kingcott Blue, is fantastic. And when we have an ethos for the online shop, is essentially nothing really goes on an online shop unless myself and my wife are kind of happy with it. And so we've tried a lot of produce over a lot of produce over the last few weeks, including a massive tomahawk steak yesterday that went live. But yeah, it's really wowed me in terms of some of the quality and stuff I wasn't really aware of, and not just food. We sell like Kentish soaps, like handmade soaps in a Kentish soap company, and bath salts and lavenders, and you've got Easter eggs made by Kentish. There's just so much out there, really, so much that I never really thought.
Yeah, it was possible. Well, Ed, please keep up the great work, because without guys like you, there's no ways that these Kent-based businesses can get the produce out there and get in front of consumers. So thank you for everything you guys are doing. Obviously, well worth your nomination. Best of luck in the category, and to the rest of the guys as well who are up for the same award as you, Kent Retail Outlet of the Year. And best of luck, I suppose, leading into awards night. Thank you for joining me, Ed.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Fantastic there, director of Watts Farm. That was Ed Gray, and it's an incredible category this year, the Kent Food Retailer Award. Joining Watts Farm, who have been recognised for diversifying and creating their online shop, is Foodari for their home delivery, and Queck's Barn in Birchington, who have been offering food deliveries to local customers in isolation. The winners of all the awards will be announced at the virtual awards ceremony on the 11th of May. Right, that is all for this week. Thanks again to Sebastian and Ed for jumping on the podcast with me. Next week, we'll continue this special series with the Taste of Kent Awards. Joining me will be Luke from Garage Coffee and Stephen from Copper Rivet Distillery. That's all from me for now. See you next Thursday at midday, and have a great bank holiday weekend. Stay safe, everyone. Bye for now.